How do you top Rocky 4? Seriously, how? There's no way to say it. It's just the most bleeding heart patriotic movie ever made in a lot of ways. Yeah, I guess that's where it should start, so I should just say what I usually say and wait, no, there is a way to top Rocky 4, but to do it, I must do something I never vowed to do again. But for this, it's necessary. It's what has to happen. Because there's only one way to truly top Rocky 4. Initiate patriotism mode! I'm in patriotism mode, where I'm ready to talk all things America, as America being the greatest thing ever, and all things that make it the greatest thing ever. Wearing a shirt that's all American and made in China! Cue title scene! Rocky 4 is the most amazing movie ever. They should have called it Rocky Wins the World, because that's what it's about. It's Rocky. He's rich. He's got his wife. He's got his kid, an American kid, I might add. And he has a super rich American-style home. And he gets the most 80 cliches robot ever. A robot so cliche, it doesn't need a name. It just needs to be called 80s cliche robot. But, in a more general sense, American 80s cliche robot. That's right, Rocky's on top. After everything with Mr. T, he's proven he's the best boxer alive. Him and Apollo Creed are buddies, and everything's going swimmingly. Until trouble arises, when Ivan Drago shows up. Sounds like either a bad porn star name, or a weird-ass Transformers villain? Both the cases true, but that's not the point. Ivan Drago once again claims to be the best boxer ever and calls Rocky a chump. Nobody calls an American a chump, especially in a movie with so much America. Poop is red, white, and blue. That's right. Rocky at first does not accept the challenge, so Apollo Creed goes in, and he makes the most American daring sacrifice ever. He fights Ivan Drago, he puts it all in there, keeps on, but he can't do it. At the end of the day, even though Apollo Creed was bleeding heart American in this movie, let's face it, his opening scene is nothing but patriotism. Apollo Creed dies in the ring. In a scene that was actually so vividly true, a medic team was actually called before Apollo revealed he was alright. That's right. America's so important, you gotta fake your own death. Isn't that right, internet rumors? Now, after that, Rocky embarks on the greatest training montage of all history. He moves forward, and he gets stronger, and then he goes to Ivan Drago, and he fights him, and believe it or not, in real life, Sylvester Stallone was almost seriously injured in that fight, but he beats him, and he wins, and it's America. It's America. It's so strong. This movie is ultimate 10 out of 10. Ultimate 10 out of 10 on sports movies and American movies. Everything America! Sorry about that. That happens with patriotism mode. It's why I don't go that. It's like my Super Saiyan, only less what Hitler wanted. From what I briefly remember from that experience, the story of the movie's down. As for the execution, however, once again, this movie has the problem of trying to put so many things in such little time, rather it be the robot, or other people, or even the Apollo Creed death. I will say this, it was less awkward than a lot of the other deaths in the Rocky movies, because you felt the emotion. As normal, the fighting in this movie is above par. The acting, especially like I said from Apollo, was so gritty, real. They actually thought in real life the guy punched him so hard, like literally. when Stallone and this guy started fighting, I mean, the dude was massive, both of them. But the guy playing Ivan actually punched his heart out of the spot. So this was an insane film. But how do you talk about it without just, it is what it is. It really only bases itself off the issue with the Soviets. It's based just totally around getting everyone's paranoia, making everyone go super patriotism. Stallone was smart. With all these Rocky films, he knew to find something and grab you by the neck and push you into it just the right way. Rather it be the underdog story, and when that didn't work, the proving your stuff. Here, I honestly believe he was out of ideas, so he just said, let's go superficial and let's just go with people's fear of communism. That's all this movie is. Now, true, at times it does show it. Especially towards the end, you get more of a feel for Ivan Drago as a person, but in a lot of ways, he's just portrayed as this inhuman monster. But that was the times. No matter what you think of Soviet Union, the Cold War, all that stuff, you can't ignore that 95% of this movie is just completely playing off that fact. Where with the other two movies, it's not the greatest truth in the world, but they played off the emotions and success of the first one. Which at the end of the day is why very rarely are sequels better than the first ones. Because they're always just trying to recapture what came first. And that's why whenever I rank franchises like Rocky, where it's multiple movies, I always try to give something a different rank. Because the thing is, even though, yeah, people will say that Nolan's Batman trilogy was all 10 out of 10s, the Toy Story trilogy, all amazing, the Twilight films, all zeros, but films that make it to franchise level like that, they're in a class all their own. And that's the truth. I call it sports movies because it is a sports movie, but in reality, at the end of the day, in its own league and as a sports movie. Now remember, before I go any further, a lot of the cinematography is still great. Rocky's training in this movie was excellent and amazing, but for me, it just felt like as this franchise went on, it always lost a little bit and a little bit. So at the end of the day, I gave Rocky 1 a 10 out of 10, Rocky 2 8 out of 10, Rocky 3 7 out of 10. This film is 6 out of 10. The action is still awesome. The acting is still great. The cinematography is still excellent. But at the end of the day, this is one of those movies where what makes it a movie is just trying to rustle our feathers about patriotism, hating Russia, and just overall dating itself. It's very 70s, that's all there is to it. But hey, what are you gonna do? It's Rocky.